What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be reviewing round 8 between Port Adelaide and St Kilda. Unfortunately, we didn't get the job done, going down by 29 points in front of a capacity 20,000 strong crowd full of Port fans at the Adelaide Oval. Wasn't the result we were expecting, nor was it the result we wanted either, and I think unfortunately we left that stadium thinking to ourselves what could have been, and also, being feeling a little bit let down, I reckon, because it was a tough game for majority of the night. It was a real stranglehold for 3 quarters, and there were certain aspects of the game that we weren't particularly happy with, and in the end, didn't quite work out. But let's go through the game and review it and see exactly what went wrong and why we lost to St Kilda.
I'm not an umpire basher at all, but gee, that was an interesting game. I think the challenge with the umpiring, I'll say this, the challenge with the umpiring is that it should not change from week to week. That's confusing for everyone, players, for the umpires. Like, the umpires walk off there tonight and they got a howling. That's not their fault, most of it. The game shouldn't get adjusted from week to week. The rules are the rules. They don't need to change. We just need to umpire them consistently. Like I want my team to play consistently. You can't tell me that coaches talking about the umpiring, or Gil talking about the umpiring, or me talking about the umpiring and trying to make it an adjustment. That doesn't work. That's not the way the game should be. And for umpires to have a week-to-week focus, their week-to-week focus shouldn't change from round 1 to round whatever we play, because their focus should be to umpire the rules as they're written and umpire them that way. Then everyone will become really clear with what to expect. There is absolutely no doubt it's more confusing today than it's ever been.
Well, there's the clip of Kenny Hinkley after the game in his press conference on his opinion on the umpiring situation at the moment. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way straight away and suggest and say that there is no way that I'm putting the majority of the reasons why we lost to St Kilda blaming the umpires. It's as simple as we were strongly beaten around the ground for the whole night. What influenced some of the plays that St Kilda had were some of the decisions that the umpires made, and particularly number 12, who I think is probably the worst umpire in the AFL at the moment, alongside Matty Nichols. The pure hatred I have for certain umpires is beyond me. But I shouldn't, because, they're given rules that are changed constantly, and Kenny Hinkley has said it spot on in that clip, is that we don't even know the rules. Not even the crowd knows the rules. In fact, I think the crowd knows the rules better than the umpires do, because they're that confused on what is a good interpretation of holding the ball, of a high tackle. All these little decisions that were made just influenced the game, and every time Port seemed to have momentum, there was a decision made. And I think it was just unfortunate that we couldn't have a standard of umpiring in a game like that was, in front of a crowd. It's a big Saturday night game, and that's the standard of umpiring that's been put out. It's really disappointing that, as a fan, as a guy who I think I know football reasonably well to consider that I know what a good decision and a bad decision is. The majority of the decisions last night paid for both teams were shocking. They were disgraceful. There was a certain deliberate decision made against Westhoff, where he stepped over the line after chasing the ball. He was tackled, and he just stepped over the line. Now, what can you do in that situation? Nothing. You're purely just going over the line, you're embracing impact, and getting ready for a stoppage. They call it deliberate. That is, by all means, one of the worst calls in history, as a deliberate call. I think as well, there was a situation where Laddams was in a play. It was a congested area. The ball has gone to ground. There was a below the knees contact for Laddams. There was a hold in the ball. There was a high tackle. There was so many free kicks that could have been paid in 15 seconds of football. Not one was paid. The smallest hold against a St Kilda player was paid directly after. It is frustrating as a fan to watch that every single game, not just Port Adelaide games, that we have a standard like this that we can't enjoy football without having the umpiring department have a major impact on how the game is played. Now, I think at the end of the season, you have this year. This is COVID year. You're gonna have to deal with certain interpretations and stuff like that. At the end of the year, you strip it back. You get rid of some rules. You make it simple. I don't care if there's a head impact. I don't care if this is going to influence different decisions, because it won't. If you strip it back, you make it simple. You don't put dot points underneath a major point. You have a one rule. It's disappointing. To the game itself, we were just outplayed throughout the whole contest. In the ruck, Laddams was dominated by Ryder, who gave a masterclass and showed us why we probably should have kept Ryder, to be honest. That was the point he probably tried to prove. Marshall was good both up forward and in the ruck against Laddams, and we knew we were probably not going to win the hit-outs and not win the ruck contest, but I think our midfield was so sluggish. We weren't attacking the footy at all, and every time we did get the football, we'd fumble. It was just a contested game where we just couldn't deal with the pressure inside, and then by the end of it just broke out, and we were probably hanging on a little bit, especially in that third quarter. We had the third quarter was a tale of two halves of a quarter. We had majority of the play in the first half of the third quarter. We had like 12 inside 50s for one goal. We didn't get reward, and we just didn't take our opportunities. And in the end, St Kilda went down, kicked two in a row after hitting the inside 50 3 or 4 times. And it was just that quarter. It was just that type of game and we were frustrating ourselves. And we didn't take opportunities at all in front of goal. 6 goals out. We had more scoring shots, 14-13, and yet we lose by 5 goals. I think 4 or 5 of those instances were set shots directly in front, and we couldn't hit those. And you hit those during the game, and you've got momentum. You've got a different change in how the game will be played, and you don't know how the game will turn out. But I stated that early in the week. I said, there's one thing we've got to do. St Kilda love to play that counter-attacking footy. They'll beat you on the contest. They've got the 2 ruckmen, but they love their counter-attack, where they'll go down the other end and quickly score a goal, or they'll just be able to change the way the game's played in an instant when you're dominating. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened on multiple occasions. And it was just disappointing to see that we couldn't counter-attack that. And when we did, we couldn't hit the scoreboard at all. And, it comes down to the fact that maybe we did miss Mackenzie. I can definitely say that. I feel like he has become such an important figure with the back 3 of Jonas, Cleary and Mackenzie. Throwing Westhoff down there, I don't understand how you can drop him on form and yet he comes in as a late call. If you're going to drop someone on form, you bring him in. You don't bring him in as an emergency. You keep him off the emergency list. He's going to work on something, and he doesn't come back in. And whilst he was okay down back, it was that one instance where he kicked the ball off one step and it hit a St Kilda target and ended up being a goal. That was the game sealed up in one moment. There was no real standout, I don't think, as a playing performance. I think DBJ and Cleary were pretty good down back. But overall, I don't think there was an overall standout in the game. It was just disappointing to see that we didn't have anyone lift. We didn't have another gear to go to. It was just stagnant. It was almost like we expected the game to turn in our favour. And I don't know whether or not maybe it was just similar to what last week was, where we ended up having 4 or 5 shots in a row and eventually we got that winning goal. This week, every time we got a chance, St Kilda on us, they were just attacking us. They were too good all around the contest. And I think we didn't expect that. We weren't hard enough. I know we can be a hard, ferocious team and we can attack the footy, and we just didn't bring that. And you've got balls like Sam Powell-Pepper, Ollie Wines, and players like that can attack the footy, attack the body, put that pressure on in the midfield, and are able to tackle. I feel like our tackling lacks a lot of power. I don't think we have that tackling power that some teams do. We don't have that ferociousness going after the footy. We're sort of that fumbly, tappy, get the ball moving type, and it works for some teams. But I think we weren't smart enough as well to counter-attack what St Kilda doing in the middle, and overall that cost us in the night. Our contested work wasn't up to the standard, and overall our opportunities weren't taken. So just disappointing. Just a disappointing night in front of the crowd. I will say, I will touch on, that is a positive of the night, was the fact that we got to stand next to each other, singing Never Tear Us Apart, witnessing the team run out to Not Giving In, cheering, booing. That was just an exceptional atmosphere, and it was good. It was good to be back. I won't lie. I think that was one of the best things about last night, and hopefully there's more to come. But hopefully we don't put a performance like that again with a crowd, because we deserve better if we're attending. I'm not saying me personally, it was a privilege to be there. It was an honour to be there. I won't take it for granted, but as fans of a team that was sitting top of the ladder, is still sitting top of the ladder, we expect better. And hopefully we expect better against Melbourne and the Dogs and Richmond, and moving forward into this next block of fixtures that will happen over 20 days. Well, there you have it, Paul fans. That's my review of round 8. It's unfortunate, but we move on. We're still top of the table. We got Melbourne next week, so it becomes an even bigger game on Thursday night footy. So hopefully we can do the job then. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way. My name is Anthony, and thank you very much for watching. As always, count the pair.